You wake up to the sound of metal. Not loud, not sudden, just a slow, careful scrape, like something being prepared. The air is cold, damp. It smells of antiseptic and something older, like iron and wet stone. Your back is pressed against something hard. Your chest barely rises. You try to move, but something holds you down. Leather, tight across your body. Your skin is wet. Not water, sweat. Cold, clinging. And then you feel it. A presence. Close. Too close. A shape moves at the edge of your vision. A hand. Steady. Practiced. Holding a blade. That's when it happens. Not panic. Not yet. Something worse. Understanding. They think you're dead. And whatever happens next, they won't stop. Because this isn't a mistake. This is how it was done. In Victorian London, death wasn't always certain. And sometimes, the body on the table could still feel everything. Tonight, you are that body. This is not a horror story. This is history. The breathing table. You wake up to a sound that shouldn't be there. Metal. Soft. Measured. Not loud enough to scare you, but clear enough to mean something is happening. You don't open your eyes right away, because something is wrong. Your body doesn't belong to you. It lies too still, too heavy, as if it's already been laid out, not moved. Your back rests against cold metal. Not wood, not fabric. Metal, flat, unforgiving, a surface that doesn't belong in comfort. You try to breathe deeper, but your chest barely moves. There's resistance. Not pain, not yet, just restriction. A quiet pressure on your ribs. Skin, heavy, holding you in place. For a moment, you don't understand. Your thoughts float slowly, like something rising through dark water. No memory of how you got here, no clear last moment, just fragments. The street, rain, a cough that won't stop. And then, nothing. You open your eyes, slowly, cautiously, like the world might fall apart if you move too fast. Light, explosive, white, too bright to belong in a room meant for the living. It hangs over you, round, blinding. Your pupils narrow. Tears instantly spring to your eyes. You blink, once, twice. Shapes begin to gather. Walls, tiles, white, but not pure white. Stained, worn, marked by years of doing things here, over and over again. You hear voices. Quiet, calm, unhurriedly. No visible injuries. Probably withers. Prepare an incision. The words reach you, but they don't die down. Not yet. Your mind resists them, as if understanding them would mean something worse. You try to move your hand. Nothing. Not weakness. Not paralysis. Restraint. Your wrists are locked. Your arms are slightly apart. Your chest is squeezed by thick straps. You feel their edges, the way they press into your skin, the way they don't even let you take a full breath. A new sound. Closer. Metal. On metal. The blade being lifted. You look away. A little. Not your head. You can't move your head. Just your eyes. A hand comes into your line of sight. Gloved. Firm. Trained. Holding something thin. Sharp. Reflective. A scalpel. And then something changes inside you. Not panic. Not yet. Something colder. Understanding. They're not looking at you. They're not helping you. They're not waiting. They're about to start. You catch your breath. Your chest is trying to rise. But the straps are holding you down. It's tighter now. Or maybe you're just noticing it more. You try to speak. Your lips part, but no sound comes out. Just a faint movement. Dry. Useless. One of the men leans closer. Now you see his face. Calm. Concentrated. No emotion. He's not cruel. This is the worst. He's just working. Behind him stand the others, watching, not shocked, not unsure, interested, as if what is about to happen is expected, routine. And then you become aware of something else, something even worse. No one checks your breathing, no one waits for movement, no one asks questions. Because to them, there's no doubt. You are already dead. The scalpel is approaching, slowly, deliberately. And in that moment, you understand the silence, the quiet voices, the lack of urgency. Because in this room, nothing living should resist. But something in your chest is starting to break free. Not physically, not yet. Something deeper. A thought. One sharp thought. What will happen if they are wrong? The blade will stop just for a split second, as if something invisible has moved, or maybe it is just your imagination, because no one reacts, no one notices. And the hand holding the scalpel does not stop. Outside this room, London moves as it always does. The cruise, the fog. People walk through the narrow streets without realizing it. But inside, there is another kind of fear, one that rarely leaves the walls, one that is not spoken of openly. Because in this city, death is not always inevitable. And sometimes the body on the table is not as still as it seems. Tonight, you are not a witness. You are not a visitor. You are not even a patient. Tonight, you are the person on the table. And somewhere beneath the calm voices of the doctors, underneath the routine of their work, there is a question that no one here asks. Not aloud, but it sticks out. Silent. Invisible. How many times has this happened before? And how many of them have woken up too late? The scalpel is lowered. The light above burns brighter. The room holds its breath. And your story has already begun. Men who need the dead to be silent. The first thing you notice after the blade is the smell. Not rot, not yet. Something cleaner. Alcohol, traces of carbolic acid, wet stone, old linen, a thin metallic tinge in the air, like coins held too long in a damp hand. It's the smell of a room trying to overcome death, without ever truly overcoming it. You lie beneath it all, breathing too shallowly, listening, waiting for someone to see you. No one does. The man with the scalpel moves his wrist. The light catches the blade, and for one absurd moment the bright blade looks almost elegant, almost ceremonial, as if it's not violence but just a method, as if the body beneath him had finished feeling. Another voice speaks from somewhere near your feet, breasts first. So calm, so natural. These words don't belong to murder. They belong to training, to craft, to work done before breakfast and forgotten before dinner. You try to move again. Your fingers twitch inside the binding. Barely. The leather around your wrist creaks faintly. No one hears it. Or worse, someone hears it and mistakes it for the barrage of straps. Your throat tightens. You swallow, but even that now feels loud. Every little movement in your body feels huge. They must hear your heart. They must see the tremor in your neck. But they don't look there. They look at the body in parts, at the body in categories, at the body as evidence. In this room, you are no longer a person. You are a specimen before you become history. And perhaps that is why this place is scarier than the grave. The grave expects silence. This room demands it. The doctor comes closer, and you see more of him. A face marred by late time. Dark sleeves under a pale apron. A beard trimmed without vanity. He smells faintly of tobacco and soap in the cold outside. He is not theatrical. He is not terrible. He is exactly the kind of man the city trusts its dead to. Behind him, arranged in a loose semicircle, stand the others. Students, perhaps. Younger men with pointed collars and restless eyes. One of them leans forward too willingly. Another folds his arms to hide his discomfort. The third looks on with the still concentration of a man trying not to think about the man this body once was. You, although he doesn't know it. The room buzzes with attention. The lamp above his head burns with an unkind balance. You hear the fabric moving, a chip scraping across the tile. Someone clears their throat. Then the doctor speaks again. Watch for exhaustion. The words fall like dirt on a coffin lid. He describes you, not your name, not your life, not the fear that brought you into the hands of such men. Only the state of the flesh, visible signs of decay, the body as a final report. There is a terrible intimacy in being studied by people who think you can't hear them. You try to remember how you got here. The room before this one, a bed perhaps, a ward in a charity hospital, or not even a ward. A narrow room somewhere in a boarding house, where the blanket smelled of soot and the basin held yesterday's water. London is full of places where a person can quietly disappear, full of stairs groaning under sore feet, full of windows painted gray with coal dust and fog. You remember the cough. That's right. A deep, ragged cough. The kind that leaves a taste of iron on the back of your tongue. The kind that bends your spine and makes your chest feel borrowed. The snoring. That's what they called it when they wanted to sound almost gentle. Exhaustion. Thinning. The slow theft of breath. It was everywhere in the city. In boarding houses. In factories. In attics where needlewomen bent over their seams by candlelight, in alleys where entire families slept close enough to hear each other's dreams. It reached respectable drawing rooms and basement kitchens. It took the poor faster, but it wasn't just them. London coughed all winter. London coughed all year. And men died of it so often that death itself became administrative. Recorded, deleted, delivered, prepared. The doctor's hand hovers over your chest. The tip of the scalpel doesn't touch you yet, but its coldness seems to precede the metal. Your skin tenses. One of the younger men asks a question. Sir, was the mirror used? There's a pause. Short. Barely. But for you, it opens like a trapdoor. The doctor answers without looking up. I was told it was in a hotel. And? No traces. No traces. You know the method. Of course you do. Anyone who has listened to enough city talk knows it. A little mirror held before the mouth. A candle flame watched for tremor. A hand pressed to the chest, hoping to feel what fear imagines. The old tests. Small rituals performed against a large terror, because the city has another sickness besides consumption. It is not carried in the lungs, it lives in the mind. The fear of being taken for dead, of waking in darkness, of hearing earth settle above you, of breathing once, twice, and spending the last air on a scream no one will hear. That fear moves through London almost as quietly as fog. It clings to conversations in public houses. It appears in penny papers. It lurks at the edge of sermons and medical lectures and family instructions, whispered beside the bed of the dying. Wait longer. Touch the skin again. Hold the mirror once more. Call the doctor back. Because there are stories. Always stories. A woman in Clerkenwell who moved after being laid out. A child whose mother swore he was warm at the burial. A laborer taken for dead after fever, only to sit upright before the coffin was shut. Maybe half of them never happened. maybe fewer. But the fear they fed was real enough to alter the habits of a city. And in places like this room, fear mattered for a practical reason. If the dead were not reliably dead, then every examination carried a silent accusation. You should have checked better. The doctor draws a breath through his nose, impatient now, though not visibly so. The mirror mists from 1,000 causes, he says. The body deceives. We proceed by the signs available. Proceed. It is such a small word. It has ended many things. A student nods, as if reassured. Another does not. You see him standing just beyond the lamp's worst glare, his face pale, his jaw tight. He looks not at the scalpel, but at your mouth, at your eyes. He is trying not to be foolish. You can almost feel the struggle in him. He has been taught that fear belongs to the untrained, that hesitation wastes time, that the dead should be approached with efficiency, not superstition. But he is still young enough to imagine your thoughts. That makes him dangerous in a different way. He might notice you, or he might notice you and say nothing because to speak would invite ridicule. Your lips part. The effort burns. No sound comes at first, only a thread of air. The doctor shifts. The blade lowers. A student at your left adjusts the strap across your chest. His fingers are brisk, impersonal. He tightens the buckle by one hole, and pain blooms at last. Sharp, narrow, immediate. You flinch. It is tiny. Barely more than a tremor. But it is real. The buckle hand freezes. Your heart surges so hard it seems impossible the strap can hide it. Did he feel that? Did he see your ribs move? The student glances up toward the doctor. And then, to your astonishment, he says nothing. He only smooths the leather and steps back. The moment passes. No one reacts. You understand something then that is worse than neglect. These men are not only confident, they are trained to explain away doubt. A twitch becomes settling. A sound becomes air. Warmth becomes delayed cooling. Every uncertain sign is bent toward certainty, because certainty allows the work to continue. The city needs it to continue. Bodies arrive faster than questions can be asked. Medical schools need demonstrations. Hospitals need causes. Families need documents. Coroners need conclusions. Burial societies need lists and times and wages accounted for. There is always another cart, another sheet, another face gone flat with the same stillness. A great city cannot stop each time fear whispers, maybe. So it goes forward. And if it is wrong, it prefers to be wrong quickly. The scalpel touches skin. Cold first. Then pressure. Not enough to cut. Only enough to place the point. To map the line the hand intends to follow. Your entire body becomes that point. The room narrows around it. The lamp vanishes. The students vanish. The city beyond the walls vanishes. There is only the contact of steel against your chest and the terrible knowledge that no one here expects resistance from the flesh beneath it. Tonight, you are the body that must not move. Tonight, your only witness may be the one young man too frightened to trust his own eyes. The doctor begins to speak again, more for the room than for himself. In the teaching of anatomy, he says, we must remember that appearances often mislead the sentimental. A few of the students smile faintly at that. The line has been said before. It has the shape of doctrine. The body is a lesson, not a person. Sentiment clouds observation. Objectivity requires distance. It sounds noble when spoken beneath a lamp. It sounds different from under the knife. A drop of sweat slips from your temple into your hair. Another clings to your upper lip. Your lungs take in air in short, stolen sips. You try to hold perfectly still, not from obedience, but from a desperate instinct that movement at the wrong moment will make the blade enter faster. Another voice from the back of the room. "What of the post-mortem changes, sir?" The doctor answers readily, grateful perhaps for the familiar path of instruction. He speaks of cooling, of rigidity, of the eyes, of the skin, of the clouding that follows death, and the slackness that should come before stiffness settles. He speaks with the authority of repetition. You hear in his tone the confidence of a man who has said these words over many tables, many winters, many bodies. And yet confidence is not proof. Even in this age of gas lamps and hospital wards, medicine still stands with one foot in certainty and the other in guesswork. Doctors measure what they can. They inspect what remains visible. They construct rules from pattern and call them safeguards. But the boundary between life and death can still be thin enough to frighten them. That is why some families delay burial. That is why some invent contraptions for coffins. Bells, tubes, little flags meant to rise if movement comes from underground. That is why newspapers feast on stories of the nearly buried and the unexpectedly awakened. Because fear grows best where science has not yet finished speaking. The doctor's lecture continues, but your attention snags on a detail near the far wall. Hooks, iron hooks mounted beside a cabinet, aprons hanging from them, and below them a long drawer with a metal pull. Not a cabinet, not for instruments, for bodies. The realization comes quietly, which somehow makes it worse. This room is not prepared for one dead man. It is arranged for many. This table is only one point in a system, a machine of urban death, lodging house to certificate, certificate to porter, porter to room, room to report, report to burial. You are inside a process now. Processes do not look for miracles. The student near the lamp speaks at last, the one who keeps watching your face. "Sir, only that." The doctor pauses. "Yes?" The student wets his lips. You see him, trying to choose between caution and embarrassment. For one impossible, radiant moment, hope enters you. He has seen it. He has seen your eyes, your breath, the life they have mistaken. He will stop this. He will say the words. The student glances at your mouth, then at the blade, then back at the doctor. "The discoloration," he says at last. "Could that suggest fever rather than phthisis?" Hope closes like a hand around your throat. The doctor nods once, already turning the question into a lesson. "Possibly?" We shall see more after opening. After opening, the room returns, harder than before. Your body shakes once, not enough to show, but enough to feel. A small internal shudder, a wave of horror so pure it seems to clear the edges of everything around you. No rescue is coming from shame. No rescue is coming from procedure. If you survive this room, it will not be because the system worked. It will be because something in it failed. The doctor repositions the scalpel. Now there is no delay. The line is chosen. The point settles. The hand prepares its first true motion. And just as the blade begins to draw, there comes, from somewhere outside the room, a sound. A knock, not loud, not urgent, but wrong. Every head turns. The doctor stops, irritation flashing across his face like a shadow across glass. Again, the knock. Then a voice through the door. "Mr. Harrow, there's a message from the mortuary porter." The doctor exhales through his nose, annoyed, interrupted. Alive to inconvenience, if not to you. He lifts the blade away from your skin. For the first time since waking, the metal leaves you. A narrow mercy, a borrowed second, a delay, no more than that. But in rooms like this, delay can be the space in which fate changes its mind. The doctor hands the scalpel handle first to an assistant. "Do not touch the body," he says. Then he moves toward the door. The students shift, relieved by the interruption. Their attention loosens. A chair leg scrapes. Someone whispers. One man walks toward the tray of instruments and rearranges them without need, grateful for something harmless to do with his hands. And you, strapped to the table beneath the lamp, understand that this may be the only chance the dead are ever given, not to be saved, to prove they were never dead at all. Somewhere beyond the door, in the corridor's dim echo, the doctor receives his message. You cannot hear the words, only the cadence, only the slight change in voices, only the fact that whatever waits beyond this room has reached in and stayed the knife. For now, but not for long. And as you lie there, breath thin and wrists bound, another thought enters the story. Not how did you get here, not even who failed to see life in you. Something darker, something wider. If this room exists because the city needs the dead explained, then what happens to the bodies no one bothers to explain at all? That answer is not in front of you yet. It waits elsewhere, in the schools, in the alleys, in the carts that move after midnight. And before this night is over, you will come close enough to smell it. The cart that comes at night. The door closes behind the doctor. Not loudly, just enough to remind the room that authority has stepped away. And with it, certainty. The lamp still burns above you, too bright, too close. It hums faintly, like something alive, or something pretending to be. The men shift, not in panic, in relief. The interruption has loosened them. A moment stolen from routine. One of them exhales sharply and rubs his hands together as if cold. Another leans against the tiled wall. A third steps closer to the instruments, not to use them, but to look. They are waiting. Waiting for permission to continue. Waiting for the man who decides when flesh becomes lessen again. And you are still here, still breathing, still not seen. Your chest rises, slowly, barely. You force it to be smaller, quieter, less. As if survival now depends not on movement, but on the illusion of stillness. The leather bites into your skin. The strap across your chest feels tighter than before. Or maybe fear has sharpened everything. A drop of sweat slides from your temple into your ear. You don't move. You don't dare. Near your left shoulder, 2 students speak in low voices. They bring more tonight? So I heard. How many? 3, perhaps 4. A pause. Then, from the workhouse, a quiet nod. The words pass over you at first. Workhouse. Another part of the city. Another kind of death. But something in their tone makes it linger. Not pity, not disgust. Something else. Expectation. You listen harder. Because now, the room has changed. The blade is gone. The doctor is gone. But something else has entered. Something colder. They said one was fresh, the first voice continues. Came in just before dusk. Good condition? So the porter claims. A soft laugh. Porters claim many things. You feel your stomach tighten. Fresh. Good condition. They are not speaking like men waiting for tragedy. They are speaking like men expecting delivery. You turn your eyes slightly. Carefully. Enough to see the speaker. Young, nervous, trying to sound experienced, trying to belong. The other one, older, more certain. He speaks without hesitation. They don't always wait, you know. For what? For the proper confirmations. A pause, then quieter. For death. The words settle into the room like dust, unnoticed by most, but not by you. Something clicks. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. This place, this table, this moment is not an accident. It is part of something larger. The younger student frowns. You mean they take them too early? The older one shrugs. They take them when they can. A silence follows. He continues. There aren't enough bodies. The sentence is simple, but it carries weight. You have heard whispers of this before, in taverns, in alley conversations, in half-laughed stories told late at night when the fog pressed close to the windows. Bodies. Taken. Moved. Used. For medicine. For knowledge. For progress. But also for profit. London grows. Faster than its systems. Faster than its rules. Faster than its conscience. Hospitals fill. Medical schools expand. Students crowd lecture halls, hungry to learn what lies beneath skin. And for that, they need bodies. But bodies are not easily given. Families guard their dead. Burials happen quickly. Tradition resists intrusion. So the city finds another way. The older student lowers his voice. There are men who handle it. Men? Resurrectionists. The word hangs. Strange, almost elegant. Not grave robbers, not thieves. Resurrectionists. Men who dig at night, who open fresh earth, who lift what has only just been laid down, who sell it. The younger student shifts, uncomfortable now. I thought that was exaggerated. The older one shakes his head. No. A beat. It's organized. Your chest tightens again. Not from the strap, from understanding. Bodies are not only found, they are collected. The student continues. Some are taken from graves. A pause. And some? He glances toward the door. Never make it that far. A cold wave moves through you. Never make it that far. You feel it now. Not as thought, as certainty. Some bodies are taken before burial, before certainty, before confirmation. Your breathing falters, just for a second. One of the students glances at you. Your heart surges. But he looks away. Still unseen. Still safe. For now. The older student moves closer to the table. Closer to you. Too close. He studies your face. Not deeply. Not with suspicion. Just habit. You freeze. Every muscle, every breath, every flicker of life. He nods slightly, as if confirming something to himself. Good specimen, he mutters. Specimen. The word lands heavier than anything before. Not man. Not patient. Not mistake. Specimen. And in that moment, you understand something deeper than fear. This room does not need you to be dead. It only needs you to be useful. Outside, somewhere in the corridor, a cart rattles. Wood against stone. Wheels uneven. Heavy. The sound moves closer. The younger student turns. That must be them. Them. The cart stops just beyond the door. Voices murmur. Low. Businesslike. You cannot hear the words, but you know the tone. Exchange. Something is being delivered. And for a moment, a terrible thought rises. If another body enters this room, what happens to you? Are you examined first or replaced? Is there a queue? Even here? The door opens. Cold air slips in. With it, a different smell. Dirt, cloth. Something faintly sweet. Not decay. Not yet. Fresh. Two men stand in the doorway, not doctors, not students, rough hands. Heavy coats? Faces that belong to the night? Porters? Or something close to it? Behind them, a shape on a stretcher. Covered. Still. The room shifts. Attention moves. Not to you, to the new arrival. And for the first time since you woke, you are no longer the center of the room. You are forgotten. The porters step inside, set the stretcher down. Careful. Practiced. One of them speaks. Came quick. Another nods. No one followed. A pause. Then, quietly. Good timing. The words pass through you like ice. Good timing. Because timing matters here. Too early, and the body breathes. Too late, and it's no longer useful. The balance is thin. Dangerously thin. The cover shifts slightly as the stretcher is adjusted. Just a little. Enough. You see a hand. Pale. Still. But not entirely. A flicker. So small it could be nothing. Or everything. Your breath stops. Did you see that? Or did you imagine it? No one reacts. No one looks. The room accepts the body without question. Because questioning slows the work, and the work must continue. The older student gestures. Place it there. Not on your table. Another. Parallel. Prepared. Waiting. The stretcher is moved. Lifted. Lowered. The body rests. Still covered. Still unnamed. Still unquestioned. And something inside you breaks again. Because now you know you are not the only one. And somewhere in this room, in this city, in this system, there are others who woke up too late. Tonight, you are not alone on the table, but that does not mean you will survive it. And as the doctor's footsteps return down the corridor, steady, unhurried, certain, the room prepares to begin again. With you, or without you. It makes no difference to them. Only to you. The body trade. The doctor returns with cold air around him. Not enough to move the lamp, not enough to disturb the arrangement of tools, but enough to change the room. Conversation dies at once. The students step back into their proper shapes. Hands behind backs. Eyes forward. Curiosity tucked beneath obedience. Whatever had loosened while he was gone tightens again. Order resumes. That, you begin to understand, is one of the great powers of rooms like this. Not knowledge, not compassion. Order. The dead arrive. The dead are named or not named. The dead are opened. The dead are explained. And everything that happens between those steps is made to seem inevitable. The doctor removes his gloves with a soft snap, takes in the second covered form, and asks only one question. Where from? One of the rough-handed men answers. St. Giles' side, lodging cellar. The doctor gives the slightest nod. No prayer. No inquiry about family. No question of who found the person or whether anyone claimed the body. Only the place, the district, the social geography of loss. St. Giles. Crowded rooms. Wet brick. Soot-darkened corners. Beds rented by the night. Children sleeping under tables. Women boiling thin broth over doubtful fires. Men coughing into handkerchiefs already stiff with yesterday. A place where death is not rare enough to stop the street. The doctor turns to the students. You see, he says, why city medicine must deal with realities the drawing room prefers not to consider. The line is delivered almost gently, and that makes it uglier, because it contains a truth. London's medicine, for all its ambition, feeds on the city's inequality. The poor die in numbers. The poor die publicly. The poor die without privacy strong enough to protect the body afterward. And institutions, hospitals, schools, workhouses, infirmaries, grow around those deaths, like iron fencing around old churchyards. Bodies become lessons most easily when they belong to people who had little power while alive. The doctor steps toward the second table and peels back just enough of the sheet to inspect the face beneath. You cannot see clearly from where you lie. Only a chin, a temple, hair damp against skin. He studies the features for less than 5 seconds. Male, he says, approximately 30, severe wasting. Likely pulmonary disease. Likely. There is that word again. A narrow bridge built over uncertainty. Likely is what lets the city continue. Likely is what permits the living to arrange the dead with confidence they have not earned. One of the students asks, "Will there be 2 examinations tonight, sir?" "Possibly. Possibly." Another thin bridge. The doctor glances at you. Not as a person, as a sequence interrupted. The first table, the waiting lesson, the body not yet opened. He comes back to your side. His eyes pass over your face, your chest, the leather strap pressing into your skin. He seems mildly annoyed, as if your unfinished condition has become inconvenient in light of new arrivals. He places 2 fingers against the side of your neck. For one blazing second, hope floods you. He will feel it. He must feel it. Your pulse is a hammer. Your fear has made it wild and hot and violent. No dead man carries terror through an artery like this. But the doctor's fingers are there only briefly. Too briefly. A touch performed to reassure himself, not to discover truth. He withdraws. "No objection," he murmurs. "No objection." As if your body had been consulted and failed to protest. A student writes something down. Ink scratches paper. You hear every stroke. This, too, is part of the system. Not only knives, but records. Ledgers and labels. Identity reduced to lines. Unknown male. Estimated age. Probable cause. Effects retained. Body transferred. Cities trust ink more than memory. The doctor reaches for a fresh pair of gloves. Behind him, one of the porters remains near the second table. He has the posture of a man accustomed to waiting for money. Not respectfully, patiently. One hand rests on the edge of the stretcher. The nails are dark with earth that did not come from any street. A grave man. Not a mourner, a worker. A resurrectionist, perhaps. Or close enough to one that the distinction no longer matters. The word had drifted through public talk for decades, before Parliament tried to control what could be taken from the ground and under what pretense. In earlier years, before legal supply changed, anatomy schools had depended notoriously on the trade. Men dug at night. They watched funerals by day. They learned which graves would be lightly guarded, which churchyards lay too close to lodging houses, which burials came with cheap coffins and thin supervision. They took bodies, but usually left the clothing, left the rings if they could, because the law treated theft of property differently from theft of flesh. Strange arithmetic. Steal the coat, and you are a criminal. Steal the person inside it, and the law struggled to name the offense. It sounds impossible when spoken plainly, but cities often survive by arranging their hypocrisies into systems. The porter coughs into his fist and says, "There's another by morning, likely." Small one. Small one. The room does not change. No one gasps. No one tells him not to speak that way, because everyone understands. A child, or someone young enough to be described by size before humanity. The younger student lowers his eyes. He has not yet mastered indifference. The doctor replies without looking up, "Inform the clerk, if it comes through the proper channel." The porter says nothing for a moment. Then, with a trace of amusement, "Proper, yes." A faint smile touches one of the other men's mouths. Not because it is funny. Because everyone here recognizes the performance. Proper channels, official routes, approved transfers. As though poverty itself were a bureau stamping papers in triplicate. Many bodies enter medicine through doors labeled lawful. But the road to those doors is often paved with hurry, neglect, and convenient blindness. You lie beneath their words and think of all the ways a body can be lost before burial. Workhouse dead, unclaimed. Hospital dead, unvisited, prison dead, unnamed in public memory. Infants too weak to keep a place in the family record. Women from the streets whose rooms are cleared before their skin cools. Men like you, taken from lodging beds where no one with authority loved them enough to insist on waiting. The leather at your wrists has begun to burn, not from motion, from pressure. The body does not like to be held still when panic fills it. Every instinct in you pushes against the straps, even when you do not move. Muscles strain invisibly, jaws lock, breath turns thin and hot in the throat. The doctor lifts the scalpel again, but before he sets it to you, he begins a lecture. Always the lecture. Violence comes dressed as education in this room. You must understand, he says to the students, that anatomical knowledge was not built from sentiment. It was built from access. Access to bodies, to disease, to variation. Without post-mortem study, the physician remains partly blind. He is not wrong. This is what makes the room unbearable. The truths inside it are mixed. Anatomy did advance medicine. Dissection did teach what old texts could not. Hospitals did learn from bodies opened after death about disease, organs, injury, structure. Surgical practice changed because flesh ceased to be mysterious in quite the same way. Modern medicine has roots in rooms like this. But progress, you realize, has an odor. Alcohol, damp linen, ink. And underneath it, the faint, sweet earth smell of bodies acquired too cheaply. The doctor continues. The city grants us an abundance of material. Material? A student shifts at the word. Another writes it down as if it were nothing. The doctor's gaze lifts toward the second table. In former years, the difficulty was supply. Now the difficulty is classification. Supply. Classification. If he had said souls, or husbands, or daughters, the room would have cracked under the weight of it. But supply and classification can be spoken beneath white tile without trouble. This is how moral distance is built, one term at a time. You hear the porter move at the foot of the room. Coin changes hands. The transaction is discreet, but not invisible. A small purse, a nod, a name perhaps, or perhaps only an understanding. Payment not necessarily for the body itself, not officially, but for transport, for trouble, for timing, for all the labor that lets death arrive, where science can use it. The body trade lives most comfortably in euphemism. A student near your shoulder says, quieter than the others, "My father says the Anatomy Act ended all that." The older student answers before the doctor can. It ended the newspaper version of it. There is no laughter this time. Only quiet agreement. Yes, laws change. Yes, official channels replace some illegal ones. Yes, public outrage forces reform. But cities do not become innocent because Parliament writes a cleaner sentence. Need remains. Institutions remain. The poor remain available. And the fear remains too. That one day, through error or haste or convenient assumption, availability will include the not quite dead. You try to wet your lips again. This time, impossibly, a sound escapes. Not a word. Not even close. Just a thin, rough catch of air at the back of the throat. The nearest student looks at you sharply. Your heart lashes against your ribs. He heard it. He must have heard it. The student stares. The doctor does not turn. The room holds. Then the older student says, with weary confidence, "Residual air. Nothing more. Residual. Nothing more. And that is enough." The younger man nods, ashamed to have noticed. The moment closes. You understand now that facts alone will not save you. Your breath can be named away, Your movement can be interpreted into stillness. Even your fear, if seen, would become some post-mortem reflex to be discussed in Latin terms over breakfast. What saves people in stories is recognition. But in systems like this, recognition is exactly what the machinery is designed to prevent. The doctor presses the flat of his hand briefly against your sternum, judging position. His palm is cool through the glove. He speaks not to you, but above you. In cases of advanced phthisis, the thoracic cavity often reveals more than the exterior suggests. Observe carefully. Observe carefully. If only he would obey his own command. Tonight, you are the chest they will learn from. Tonight your body is both textbook and warning, though none of them knows it yet. The doctor lowers the blade once more, and before steel meets skin, the room shifts again. Not from outside this time. From the second table. A porter swears softly. One of the students steps back. The sheet has moved. Only slightly. Perhaps it slipped. Perhaps the stretcher settled unevenly. Perhaps a fold of cloth released trapped air. The doctor's head turns. Everyone looks. For one suspended second, the room loses its language. No lecture, no record, no easy term ready to cover what they may or may not have seen. The sheet rises at the shoulder, then falls. Silence. The porter laughs. Too quickly. Loose handling, he says. No one answers. The younger student has gone white. The doctor walks to the second table. His face remains controlled but not quite calm now. He lifts the sheet farther back. You cannot see the face beneath. Only the angle of his body as he examines it. He waits. The room waits. At last he says flatly, "Gas. Nothing else. Gas. The old refuge. Air caught within. Post-mortem change. Expansion. Pressure. A body deceiving the sentimental, as he said before. Maybe he is right, maybe he is not, but the words are enough to let the room breathe again. And yet, something has cracked. Not in the second body. In the confidence of the observers. The younger student keeps staring. The porter no longer smiles. And you, still bound beneath the lamp, understand with a clarity almost cruel in its sharpness. The room is afraid. Not of ghosts. Not of scandal. Of mistake. Because every man here knows, whether he admits it or not, that the border they work beside is thinner than the lectures make it sound. The doctor returns to you more quickly now, perhaps eager to reassert control. To begin? To demonstrate that all remains in order. To put steel where uncertainty has opened a gap. His hand is steadier than before, but the room is not. And as the scalpel descends, another thought enters the dark machinery of the night. If the city feeds medicine with the bodies of the poor, what did it first do to them while they were still alive? That answer waits beyond the mortuary, in the wards, in the workhouses, in the rooms where sickness is treated less like a tragedy than a burden to be moved along. And before long, you will remember one of those rooms. Not clearly, not all at once, but enough to understand why you woke here, instead of somewhere meant for the living. The room before death, before the table. There was another room. It comes back slowly, not as a full memory, as fragments. Smell first, always smell. Stale air, boiled cloth, something sour beneath it all. You are not lying on metal. Not yet. You are on a bed, if it can be called that. A narrow frame, thin mattress. The kind that remembers every body that has used it. You are not alone. You remember that now. There were others. Always others. Breathing. Coughing. Turning in restless sleep. The sound was constant. A low rhythm of suffering. like a room that never truly went quiet. You try to hold the memory steady, because something in it matters. Something explains this. The window. Yes, there was a window, but it did not show the outside, not really. The glass was clouded, darkened by soot. Moisture gathered on the inside as if the room itself breathed. Light came through it in a dull gray. Not sunlight. Something weaker. Filtered through London. You remember trying to count time, morning, evening, night. But inside that room, time did not move properly. Only bodies did. A man to your left coughed until he bled. Not once. Not twice. Again and again. Each time quieter. Each time shorter. Until one day, he stopped. No one said anything. A woman across from you whispered prayers. Soft, constant. Not for recovery. For ending. You did not speak to her. Not because you could not. Because speaking cost too much. Breath was currency, and you were already poor. This was not a hospital. Not quite. A charity ward. Or something like it. A place for those who could not afford to recover properly. Only to wait. You remember the doctor. Not the one above you now. Another, younger, faster, less patient. He moved through the room like someone counting. Not people. Time. How long? How long? How long? Not spoken aloud, but visible. He checked pulses. Looked at eyes. Pressed fingers to ribs. Quick. Efficient. You remember the mirror? Yes. That matters. He held it before your mouth. You tried to breathe against it. Tried to show him. But your chest was too weak. Your breath too shallow. The glass stayed clear. He frowned. Not because you were dying, because you were inconvenient. Keep him under observation, he said. But observation in that room meant something different. It meant waiting. Waiting for the body to decide, or for the room to forget you. You drifted, in and out. Sometimes you heard voices, sometimes nothing. Sometimes the world came back, sharp, bright, painful. And sometimes it disappeared completely. There was a moment. You remember this clearly now. A silence, different from sleep, heavier, final. The room moved around you. You could not. Voices above, close. No response. Pulse is gone. Prepare him. Prepare. The word returns. Again. Always that word. You tried to open your eyes? You did not succeed. You tried to move your hand? Nothing. You were still there. But not enough. Not enough to prove it. And in that moment, you crossed something. Not death, but something close enough to be mistaken for it. The doctor moved on. Another bed. Another body. Another decision. The room did not stop. Because it could not. Too many patients. Too little time. London does not wait for certainty. It moves forward, always. You remember being lifted. Hands, rough. Not cruel, just used to it. A sheet pulled over you. The world darkened. Not completely. Just enough. You could still hear. Boots, voices, a door opening, cold air, then movement. You were carried, through corridors, down steps, across stone, each motion distant, as if happening to someone else. You tried again. To move, to speak, to breathe deeper. But your body did not answer. And so, they decided for you. The city does that. It decides. Who is alive? Who is not? Who is worth waiting for? And who is not? You remember the cart. Wooden. Rough wheels. You were placed inside. Not alone. Never alone. Another shape beside you. Still. Silent. The cart moved. Through streets you could not see. Through fog. Through night. You heard the city. Distant. Unaware. You wanted to scream. You could not. And that is the moment that brought you here. Not the table. Not the blade. The decision. Made in a room like that. A room where death is not always certain. but is often declared anyway. The memory fades. The lamp returns. The cold metal beneath you. The strap across your chest. The scalpel above you. And now, you understand something that makes the room even darker. This was not a rare mistake, not an impossible accident. This was part of the system. A system built on speed, on assumption, on bodies that could not argue. Tonight, you are not the only one it has taken. And somewhere in this city, there are others who were carried the same way, who never woke, or did. Too late. The blade lowers again. Closer now. More certain. Because in this room, history does not ask if you are ready. It only continues. And you are already inside it. The bell beneath the soil. The blade pauses again. Not by choice, by interruption. The second table has unsettled the room, even if no one says it. The doctor stands between both bodies now, between you and the one who may or may not be dead. Control has shifted, slightly, but enough. He exhales, slow, measured. Continue observation, he says to no one in particular. Not about you, not about the other, about the room, and for a moment, nothing happens. It is the longest moment of your life, because nothing is the only thing keeping you alive. The scalpel rests on the tray, not in his hand. You breathe, shallow, controlled. You listen, and somewhere inside, the silence, a memory returns. Not yours. A story. Something you heard once. Late. In a place where men spoke more freely. Because they believed no one important was listening. A grave. A bell. A string tied to a wrist. You remember the laughter that followed. Not because it was funny. Because it was uncomfortable. Safety coffins, someone had said. Madness. But another voice answered. Madness only comes after the first mistake. The room shifts again. The doctor moves toward the second body. He pulls the sheet back further this time. Fully. You cannot see the face, but you can see the chest. Still. Or trying to be. The younger student steps closer. Too close. His breath quickens. You saw it, didn't you? He whispers. No one answers. The older student speaks instead. Gas. Again. Always gas. But the word sounds thinner now. Less certain. The doctor presses his hand to the second chest. Firm. Waiting. The room watches. No lecture. No explanation. Just waiting. And for the first time tonight. You are not the only one in danger. The doctor removes his hand. No cardiac motion, he says. But his voice is tighter now. Less patient. He turns back to you. Quickly. As if to prove something, as if the room must move forward, because if it doesn't, something worse might be true. He reaches for the scalpel again. But before he touches you, the younger student speaks. Sir, should we? The doctor cuts him off. No. Sharp. Final. We proceed. Proceed. Always that word. The system must continue, even when doubt appears, especially then. Because stopping means questioning everything. And this room cannot afford that. The scalpel returns to your skin. This time, there is no delay. You feel it. Not pain. Not yet. Pressure. A line being drawn. Your entire body becomes that line. Time slows. Every sound stretches. Your breath fractures into pieces. And then, something breaks. Not the skin. The room. A sound. From the second table. Not a shift. Not a slip. A breath. Small. Raw. Impossible. The scalpel stops. Every head turns. The younger student stumbles backward. The porter swears. And the sheet moves. This time, no one can deny it. The chest rises. Slow. Weak. But real. Alive. Silence collapses. No lecture. No explanation. Only fear. Not theatrical. Not loud. Real. Because now, the room knows. The border is broken. The doctor steps back. For the first time. He hesitates. Not as a teacher. Not as a professional. As a man. How long? Someone whispers. No answer. Because no one knows. And that is the worst part. The body on the second table should be dead. But it is not, and if that is true, then everything in this room becomes unstable. Every assumption, every certainty, every past decision. The younger student stares, unable to look away. The porter moves toward the door, not to help, to leave, because this is not part of the transaction. This is something else, something dangerous, something that does not belong in ledgers. The doctor steps forward again, slow, careful. He places his hand on the second chest, feels it, and this time he cannot deny it. A pulse, weak, irregular, but there, alive. The room exhales all at once, not relief, shock, because now they must decide, not how to proceed, whether to admit they were wrong, and that is far more dangerous. You lie beneath the lamp, forgotten again. But this time, it saves you, because attention has shifted completely. The doctor speaks. Remove him. Not gentle, not kind, urgent. 2 students move. They lift the body. Careful now, too careful, as if fragility has suddenly returned, as if life demands a different touch. The sheet slips. For a moment, you see the face. Eyes open, not fully, but enough. Enough to understand. He woke. Too late, or just in time. The door opens. Cold air rushes in. The body is carried out. Gone. And with it, something leaves the room. Confidence. The doctor stands still, thinking, recalculating, because now he knows. Mistakes happen. Not in theory. Here, tonight, and slowly. His head turns. Back to you. The first body. The one they were about to open. The one still lying perfectly still. Too still. His eyes narrow. For the first time, he truly looks. Not as a specimen, as a possibility. And in that moment, everything changes. Because now, you are no longer invisible. Now, you are a question. And in rooms like this, questions are dangerous. But sometimes, they are the only thing that can save you. The question that should not exist. The room does not return to what it was. It cannot. Something is broken. Not visibly. Not in the walls. Not in the instruments. Not in the order of things. But in the certainty that held them together. The doctor stands very still. His hand hovers above the table. Above you. Not touching, not yet. He is thinking. You can see it now. Not the calm, practiced movement from before. Something slower, heavier. Behind him, the students no longer pretend. Their silence is different, not attentive, uneasy, because they saw it, all of them. The body on the second table moved, breathed, returned, and now that possibility exists here, with you. The doctor leans closer, closer than before, too close. His face enters your world fully now. You can see everything, the lines around his eyes, the slight tremor in his jaw, the smell of tobacco and soap. He studies you, not generally, specifically. Your eyes, your lips, your chest. He is looking for something, not evidence, a mistake. You force yourself still, more still than before, because now, movement is not salvation. It is risk. If you move, you confirm life. And what happens next is no longer certain. The doctor's fingers return to your neck. This time, he waits. Your pulse is wild. Too strong? Too obvious? You try to slow it? As if your body could obey reason? As if fear could be hidden from the hand that searches for it? Seconds pass. Too many. The doctor's brow tightens. Behind him, the younger student leans forward. Unable to stop himself now. He wants to see. He wants to know. The older one does not move, but he watches, carefully, because something dangerous has entered the room. Doubt. And doubt spreads. Not loudly. not all at once, quietly, like a stain. The doctor removes his hand. He says nothing, nothing at all, and that is worse than a verdict, because silence here means conflict between what he feels and what he believes, between training and reality. He steps back. "Continue preparation," he says. But his voice is not the same. It lacks something. Conviction. The room obeys, because the room always obeys, but not completely. The younger student hesitates, just a moment. Then, he steps closer to you, too close. His shadow falls across your face. You feel his breath. He studies your eyes. And this time, he does not look away, because he sees it. Not movement, not clearly, but something else. Awareness, recognition, a human presence. And in that moment, the room divides, not physically, but in thought. Some believe, some doubt. And you are caught between them. The student whispers, so quietly, only you hear it. "Can you—" The word breaks. He cannot finish it, because finishing it means admitting everything. You try to answer. Your lips move, barely, a fraction, but enough. Enough for him. He steps back suddenly. His face changes. Fear. Real fear. "Sir." The word escapes him. Too fast. Too loud. The room snaps. The doctor turns. "What is it?" The student struggles. He knows what he saw, but he also knows what it means. I thought." The older student cuts in. "You imagined it." Firm, controlled, a rescue, not for you, for the system. Because if one man doubts, others may follow. And if doubt spreads, the room stops working. The younger student falters. His certainty weakens. Perhaps. The moment slips. Again. You are losing it. The chance. The only chance. Because in this place, truth is not enough. It must be accepted. And acceptance here is rare. The doctor watches them both. He sees the fracture, he feels it, and now he must decide. Not about you, about control. Because this room is not built to question itself. It is built to proceed, always forward, always certain, even when certainty is false. He turns back to you. Slower now, more careful. And this time, he does something different. He leans close to your face, closer than before, close enough to feel your breath, if it exists. You hold everything, every muscle, every thought, every instinct, because now, this is the moment. Not the blade, not the straps. This. His face inches from yours. The room disappears. Only you and him. And the question, are you alive? You cannot stay still. Not anymore. Because stillness brought you here. Stillness almost killed you. And so, you choose. Not carefully, not wisely, but desperately. You breathe, deep. Not enough to move the straps, but enough. Enough to exist. The air touches his face. Just barely. But it touches. His eyes change. Not fear, not shock, something sharper. Recognition. And in that instant, everything stops. The room, the system, the certainty. Because now, he knows, you are not dead. And the question that should not exist has entered the room. What do we do with the living? Who were meant to be dead? The doctor straightens slowly. He looks at the students, then back at you. And the silence that follows is heavier than anything before. Because now, the danger is no longer ignorance. It is knowledge. And knowledge can go in two directions. It can save you, or bury you deeper than before. The cost of admitting a mistake. No one speaks, not immediately. The room holds its breath, not yours, theirs. Because now, everyone knows. Not with certainty, not with proof written in ink, but with something more dangerous. Recognition. The doctor does not look at you anymore. He looks past you, at the room, at the students, at the door, calculating. Because this is no longer a medical moment. This is a decision. And decisions here carry weight far beyond one body. He removes his gloves slowly, one finger at a time, not because he needs to, because he is thinking. Behind him, the younger student cannot stand still. His hands shake. His eyes move between you and the doctor, waiting, hoping, fearing. The older student remains silent, but his posture changes, less certain now, because even he cannot deny what just happened. You breathe again, not as carefully, not as small, because now hiding is no longer enough. You are seen, and that is both salvation and danger. The doctor finally speaks. Step back. The words are quiet, controlled, but they carry authority. The students obey, all except one, the younger. He hesitates, then steps forward instead. Sir, step back. Sharper now. Final. The student freezes, because he understands something now. This is not about medicine anymore. This is about control, and control must not be broken. The doctor turns to you again. His eyes are different. Not curious. Not clinical. Careful. He leans in, close enough to see everything. Your breath. Your eyes. Your fear. And in that moment, you realize something terrible. He is not deciding if you are alive. He already knows. He is deciding what to do about it. Your heart pounds. Too loud. Too fast. You cannot hide it anymore. The doctor's gaze drops to your chest, to the strap, to the movement beneath it. He sees it, clearly. And still, he says nothing. Because saying it changes everything. One of the porters shifts near the door. Uncomfortable. Because this is not part of the work. This is not delivery, not payment, not routine. This is a problem. And problems must be handled carefully. The doctor straightens. He turns slightly, not fully away from you, but enough to speak without looking at your face. There are procedures, he says. The words are slow, measured. For cases where uncertainty exists. Uncertainty. Not life, not error. Uncertainty. The older student nods slightly, grateful. Because uncertainty is manageable. Uncertainty does not accuse. The younger student shakes his head. No, sir, The doctor cuts him off. We do not rush to conclusions. Another shield. Another layer between truth and action. You feel something rise inside you. Not fear, anger. Because now you understand. He is not blind. He is choosing. Choosing how much truth to allow. Choosing how much risk to take. Because if he admits it, if he says the words, everything changes. The students will remember. The institution will be questioned. His judgment, his authority, his certainty, all of it becomes fragile. And fragile things in this city do not last. You try again. Not quietly. Not carefully. You force it. Air. Sound. Wait. The word breaks. Barely there, but it exists. The room freezes. Not metaphorically, physically. Every movement stops. The younger student stares. The porter takes a step back. The older student goes pale, because now there is no interpretation, no explanation, no gas, no residual air, only truth. You spoke. Alive. The doctor closes his eyes. Just for a second. And in that second, you see it. Not shock. Not horror. Regret. Not for you. For the situation. Because now, the decision has been made for him. He cannot deny it anymore. He turns. Faces the room. And for the first time tonight, he speaks the truth. Remove the restraints. The words echo. Heavy. Final. The younger student moves instantly, hands shaking. He reaches for the straps. fumbles with the buckle. Too fast. Too nervous. "Careful," the doctor says, but softer now. Less command, more caution. The leather loosens, pressure releases, pain floods in. Real now, sharp, because your body remembers itself. The strap falls away. Your chest rises, fully, for the first time. Air fills you, burning, alive. The room changes again, not as a place of death, but as something else, something unstable, because now you are no longer part of the system. You are outside it, and that is dangerous. The doctor steps back, watching, not as a teacher, as a man who must now decide what happens next, because saving you is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of another. And in London, stories like yours do not stay quiet, unless someone makes them. The street that forgets. The strap falls away, and with it, the illusion of death. Air floods your chest, too much, too fast. You gasp. It hurts, not like the blade, not like fear. Something deeper. Your lungs burn, as if they had been waiting too long. The room watches. No one moves at first, because this is not part of the system. This is something else, something that does not belong in records. You try to sit up. Your arms tremble, weak, uncertain. The younger student rushes forward. "Careful!" He supports your shoulder, too gently, as if you might break. You almost laugh, but no sound comes, because even now, your body is not fully yours. The doctor does not help. He observes, always observes, because he is already thinking ahead, not about your survival, about consequences. "What is your name?" he asks. The question lands strangely. After everything, this, you try to answer. Your voice is thin. It catches, breaks, because something else is happening. You are remembering, not clearly, but enough. A name, a life, something before this room. Thomas, the word escapes, or something like it. It feels right. Close enough. The doctor nods. He does not ask more, because names are not what matters now. He turns to the students. This does not leave this room. The words are quiet, but absolute. The younger student looks at him, conflicted. "But sir, no." Sharp, final. "We will handle this properly." Properly. Another word, another mask. Because now, properly means silence. You feel it. The shift. From accident to control. The doctor steps closer. Not threatening, but not kind. "You were declared deceased," he says. Simple, as if reading from a report. "You will be returned." Returned. To where? To the ward. To the street. To the system that failed you. You look at him. Really look. And now, you understand. This is not over. Not even close. Because surviving the table does not mean escaping the city. The porter clears his throat. "What about the record?" The doctor answers without hesitation. "It will be amended. Amended. Corrected. Adjusted. Words that erase mistakes, without revealing them." The porter nods. Because this he understands. The system bends, but does not break. You swing your legs slowly over the side of the table. The floor is cold. Your feet barely hold you. But you are standing, alive. And yet, something feels wrong. Because the room has not changed as much as it should. No relief, no apology, no urgency, only adjustment. The younger student helps you, supports your weight. His hands are steady now, because now he knows what is right, or at least what feels right. "We need to get him out," he says. The doctor nods. "Yes. Not because of you, because of the room, because of what you represent. A mistake, and mistakes, must be removed. Quickly, quietly. You are led toward the door, step by step, each one harder than the last. Your body shakes. Not from cold. From everything. As you pass the second table, you look, just for a moment. The sheet is gone. The body is gone. But something remains. A mark. On the surface. A faint indentation. Where someone lay. Someone who woke. Like you. Or almost. The thought follows you. Out of the room. Into the corridor. The air is colder here. Darker. More real. Because this is where the city begins again. The student walks beside you. Can you walk? He asks. You nod. Not because it's true, because you must. At the end of the corridor, a door, heavy, wood. He opens it, and London spills in. Fog, cold, sound, distant wheels, voices, life. The street does not know you nearly died. It does not care. It moves, always. You step outside, and the city receives you. Without question. Because London does not track every breath. Only most of them. The student hesitates. He looks back. Toward the room. Then at you. You should go, he says. Not unkindly, but urgently. Because even he understands. You cannot stay near that place. Not now. You take a step forward, then another. The street swallows you. Fog wraps around your body. Cold replaces the heat of the lamp. And for the first time since you woke, you are alone, but not safe. Because the city that declared you dead still exists. And somewhere inside it, records remain. Decisions remain. People who prefer the mistake to disappear remain. You walk. Slow. Unsteady. Each breath still burns. Each step reminds you, you should not be here. And yet, you are. Alive. But in London, being alive is not always enough. Because sometimes, the city forgets you before you die, and sometimes, it tries to keep forgetting, even after you wake. The city that takes its bodies back. The fog closes around you. Not gently. It swallows. Sound fades. Shapes dissolve. London becomes something else at night. Less a city, more a presence. You walk without direction, because direction requires memory, and yours is still broken. Fragments only. The ward, the table, the blade. Nothing connects. Your body moves, but your mind lags behind. Each step feels uncertain, as if the ground might disappear. You pass people, or shadows of people. They do not stop. They do not look. Because this city has learned something important. Not every figure in the fog is worth seeing. A carriage rolls past. Slow. Heavy. You hear the wheels before you see it. Wood against stone. A familiar sound. Too familiar. You stop. Because something in you recognizes it. Not from memory. From instinct. The carriage is not for passengers. It carries something else. Covered shapes. Still, you step back, into shadow, watching. The driver does not slow, does not question, because his work is simple. Move the bodies, from one place to another, always forward, always quiet. The carriage disappears into the fog, and you understand something now. The room was not the beginning. It was only one stop. The city is full of them. Rooms, carts, corridors, a system. You start walking again. Faster now, because standing still feels dangerous. As if the city might notice, as if something might come looking. The streets narrow, buildings press closer. Windows glow faintly behind curtains. Lives continue, unaware. You pass a doorway. Inside, light, warm. You stop, because you recognize it. Not the place, the type, a lodging house, cheap, crowded, the kind of place where people disappear quietly. You step closer. Inside. Voices. Low. Normal. Alive. For a moment, you consider going in, finding a bed. Rest. But something stops you. Because this is where it began. Rooms like this. Beds like that. Decisions made in places no one questions. You turn away.
Keep moving. The fog thickens. And then, you hear it. A sound, soft, familiar, metal. You freeze, because you know that sound now. Not from the street, from the table, from the room. You turn, slowly, there, at the edge of the fog. A figure, still, watching. You cannot see the face, only shape, tall, dark, and something in the posture. Recognition, not surprise, expectation. Your chest tightens, because now you understand. You were not supposed to leave. The system lost you, and now it may try to find you again. You take a step back. The figure does not move, but it does not leave either. Waiting, like something patient, something that knows the city better than you do. You turn and walk faster. Not running, not yet, because running draws attention, and attention is dangerous. The sound behind you does not follow, or maybe it does. The fog hides everything. You reach a wider street, more light, more noise, safer, or at least less hidden. You stop, breathing hard now. Your body shakes, not from weakness, from realization. The room, the cart, the system. It does not end at the door. It extends into the streets, into the night, into the lives of those who never realize they are part of it. And you slip through, not because it failed, because something interrupted it, something rare, something dangerous. You survived, but survival creates a problem, because now, you know, and knowledge does not disappear easily. You look back. The fog has swallowed everything. No figure, no movement, nothing. But the feeling remains that you were seen, and somewhere, someone knows. You should not be here. The street moves again. Normal, indifferent. London continues, as it always does, because one man does not change a system, but he can expose it, and that is far more dangerous. You step forward again, not just to survive now, but to understand, because something began tonight, not at the table, before it, and now you are walking back toward it.
Whether you want to or not, the grave that should not move. The fog does not lift, it thickens. You walk until the city changes. The streets grow quieter, narrower, less light, less life. The kind of place where London stores what it does not wish to see. You do not know how you got here, only that something pulled you, a direction without a map. And then you see it. Iron, a gate, black, tall, and beyond it, rows, endless rows, graves. The memory returns, not slowly this time, sharp, violent. You have been here before, not alive, not walking, but carried. The cart, the wheels, the silence. You remember now. This is where the night began, the place before the table, the place before the room, the place where something moved. That should not have. You step closer. The gate is not locked. It never is. Because the dead do not leave. You push it open. It creaks. Too loud. Too real. Inside, the air is different. Colder. Heavier. The ground soft beneath your feet. Recently turned earth. Fresh graves. You walk between them. Slow. Because now, you are not just remembering. You are returning. And then, you see it. The place. Not marked clearly. Not different enough for anyone else. But you know. Because your body remembers what your mind forgot. You stop. The ground here is uneven, disturbed. And something inside you tightens. Because now, the memory completes itself. You were here. In the cart. With another body. This body. The one from the second table. You hear it again. The sound. Not in memory. Now. A scrape. Soft. Beneath the soil. You freeze. Because this is the moment. The one that started everything. The one you never understood. The one that brought you to the table. The one they never explained. Something is moving. Underground. Your breath stops. The sound comes again. Closer. Not random. Not settling earth. Deliberate. You step back. But your eyes stay fixed. Because you need to see. You need to understand. The ground shifts. Just slightly. And then it rises. A hand. Pale. Dirty. Breaking through the soil. Alive. The earth cracks, and the figure pulls itself upward. Slow, weak, but alive. The man from the table, the second body, the one they almost opened. He collapses onto the ground, breathing, gasping, dragging air into lungs that should have stopped. You do not move, because now you understand everything, not fully, but enough. He turns his head, looks at you, eyes wide, not in fear, in recognition, because he knows you were there, on the table, like him. He tries to speak, but the words do not come. Only breath, only survival. You step closer, careful, because this is impossible, and yet it is happening. The grave, the movement, the story, all of it, real. This is what they fear. Not ghosts, not superstition. This, the mistake, the one buried too soon, the one who wakes, in darkness, alone. You kneel beside him, your hands shake, because now you are not just part of the story, you are part of the truth, and the truth is worse than anything imagined, because it is not rare, it is not impossible, it is not even hidden, it is simply ignored. Behind you, a sound. You turn. The gate. Moving. Not by wind. By someone. A figure enters. Slow. Deliberate. The same shape from the fog. Watching. Waiting. He steps forward. And now, you see him clearly. A man. Not a doctor. Not a porter. Something else. Something in between. He looks at the grave, then at the man beside you. Then at you. And for the first time tonight, you understand the full shape of the system, not just rooms, not just tables, but people. People who watch. People who collect. People who correct mistakes. Because mistakes are expensive and must be fixed. The man steps closer. You weren't supposed to wake, he says. Not angry, not surprised, just factual. You feel the world tighten again. Because now, the story returns to the moment that started it. But this time, you are not on the table. You are standing, alive, and the system has found you again. The record that was never written. The man does not hurry. He does not need to, because in places like this, people rarely run. The earth is soft, the air is heavy, the body is weak. Escape is not a direction. It is a decision, and you have not made it yet. He stops a few steps away, close enough to see your face clearly, close enough to know. You came from the room, he says. Not a question, a statement. You say nothing, because now you understand what he is. Not a doctor, not a porter, something quieter. Someone who exists between systems. He watches the man beside you, the one who pulled himself from the grave. Still breathing, still alive, still not supposed to be. That one should have stayed down, he says calmly. No anger, no cruelty, just correction. Because to him, this is not tragedy, it is error. You feel something rise in your chest, not fear, not anymore, something else. Refusal. Because now, you see the full shape of it. The ward, the decision, the cart, the table. The grave. It is not a mistake. It is a system that moves too fast, that decides too early, that does not look twice. And when it is wrong, it does not stop. It adjusts. Silently, the man steps closer. You can't both walk away, he says. The words land heavily, because now there is no illusion. This is the final decision, not made by doctors, not written in records, but here, in the dark. You look at the man beside you. He is barely conscious, barely alive, but he is breathing. And that is enough. You remember the room, the moment, the blade, the silence, the choice that almost ended you. And you understand something clearly now. If you leave, nothing changes. The system continues. Another body, another mistake, another night. But if you stay, you may not survive. The man in front of you watches, patient, waiting for you to choose. Because even now, the system gives you that. One moment, one decision. You stand, fully now. Your body still weak, still shaking, but standing, alive. You made the mistake, you say. Your voice breaks, but it exists. The man tilts his head slightly. Mistakes are corrected, he replies. Of course, always corrected, but never admitted. You take a step forward. Between him and the man on the ground. You don't know why. Instinct. Something human. Something the system forgot. The man watches you. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, he sighs. Not frustrated. Resigned. Because now, this is no longer simple. Two bodies. Two witnesses. Too much risk. He looks past you. At the grave. At the disturbed earth. At the evidence. And then, he makes his decision. Go, he says. The word surprises you, more than anything else tonight. You do not move, because you do not trust it. But he steps back, gives space, because even systems have limits. And tonight, too much has already gone wrong. You reach down, help the other man up. He leans on you, barely able to stand, but standing. Together. You move, slow, toward the gate. Every step feels unreal, as if the night might close again, as if this moment might be taken back. But it is not. The man behind you does not follow. He remains, watching, because his work is not finished, only delayed. You reach the gate, push it open, step through, and London returns. Fog. Noise, life. The city does not change. It never does. Because cities like this do not notice individuals. Only patterns. Only systems. You walk. Away from the grave. Away from the room. Away from the table. But not away from the truth. Because now, you carry it. And the truth is simple. People were buried alive. People were opened while breathing. Not always. Not often, but enough. Enough to create fear. Enough to change behavior. Enough to build stories that refuse to die. Doctors used mirrors, candles, hands. Families waited longer. Some built coffins with bells, with strings, with mechanisms designed for the impossible. Because they knew. Not from science, from stories. And stories exist for a reason. You stop, turn once. The fog hides everything, the grave, the man, the night. Gone. As if it never happened. And that is the final truth. Most of this was never written down. No record, no report, no correction. Because the system does not record its own failures. It erases them. Quietly. Completely. And somewhere beneath the streets of London, beneath the graves, beneath the stories, there are moments like yours. Unwritten, unseen, but real. Tonight, you survived one of them, but many did not. And that is why, even now, the earth of old cities sometimes feels like it remembers. This is not a horror story. This is history.